Good morning friends. Now we are going to see about brackish water aquaculture practices and their management in India. Aquaculture is not a new enterprise for India. For centuries it is being practiced in our country, like the country like China, but it is a sort of traditional type of culture. With regard to brackish water aquaculture, for centuries it is being practiced in many states, like coastal states like West Bengal, Kerala, Goa, Karnataka, with different names. The traditional type of culture involves low stocking density, low input and almost no control over the culture systems, and naturally the output is also low. So it is about less than 500 kilograms per hectare per year, whereas as the scientific developments, technology development progress, the intensification started and it has gone to the semi-intensive type of culture where the selective seed stocking, supplementary feed management, all these came in, and the production has increased to 1 to 2 tons per hectare. Whereas later the intensive system was developed, which resulted in more than 2 tons per hectare, but since it is the risk factor is high in intensive system, we are not going for intensive system, we are only going for the semi-intensive or modified extensive system of culture. When I say brackish water aquaculture, it is almost synonymous to shrimp farming, because most of our coastal areas, the shrimp farming being a high valued species, the shrimps are being formed in our country, and the tiger shrimp Pinus monodon has been the major species that was cultured for many years, for the past 2.5 decades. But now the white shrimp Lithopenes vannamei has taken the place of tiger shrimp, and it almost about 90% of the total shrimp production in our country, it is replaced by this white shrimp. The main reason is the production cost is relatively less, and because of this now the white shrimp culture practice is going on, but it does not mean that it is not having disease problems, some risk problems, but sustainable production is going on mainly because of the better management practices. What is that better management practices? See, once the risk involved, if they are studied and the scientific inputs are incorporated, developing a standard methods to avoid these risks, this type of practice, calendar of practice or a package of practice is developed, which gives species specific and zone specific practice. So by following better management practices in shrimp farming, the success is being achieved. Apart from this western white shrimp, we have our own shrimps which are naturally available in our Indian waters, which are having quite good potential for aquaculture development, such as the banana shrimp Phaneropenes mergoensis, which is very much available in the north, west and east parts of the country, that is Gujarat and West Bengal, and this species is having a peculiar character of withstanding the low temperature. So this species is quite suitable for culture in Gujarat, Maharashtra, West Bengal and Orissa. And apart from that, our Indian white shrimp Pinus indicus, that has been a major species in the traditional aquaculture systems from the West Bengal and many other parts of the country, and monoculture of this Pinus indicus Indian white shrimp is also having a high potential for production in our country as an alternative species. Well, this shrimp farming has undergone some problems, particularly the disease problems, because of the uncontrolled way of practicing. So this can be managed, as I said just now, by following better management practices, and that too practicing it in a group. We call it as a cluster farming or group management, and if the better management practices are being followed in group, the collective seed stocking, collective seed checking, and proper management of the water and pond areas, and after simultaneous cropping or whatever is required, and marketing strategies, all these can be very effectively and successfully done by following this cluster or group management with the adoption of better management practices. In the commercial scale shrimp farming, apart from the normal way of culturing, there is a concept of organic farming. So, in the produce which are coming out of this organic farming will give you a premium price in the export market. So, some efforts have been made to culture the shrimps using organic inputs, and to some extent the success has been achieved, but there is still lot of scope for the expansion of this organic farming. Next we are going to see the mud crab. This is the largest crab which is available in the coastal areas, and it is fetching a lot of money through export to the Southeast Asian countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia and all. On an average about 1500 tons of live mud crabs they are being exported, which earns about 26 crores of rupees per year. So, these mud crabs are, most of them are being collected from the natural waters, but there is a scope for culturing these mud crabs also. There are two types of culture methods. One is the long term grow out culture, and another one is the short term fattening method. In the long term grow out culture, the baby crabs are stocked in the pond, grown for about 10 months, and then the larger crabs are captured for export. Whereas the short term fattening method involves stocking of the water crabs and making them hard, so that the weight will increase, the muscle content will increase. With this method it is quite easy. Within about 25 days or 30 days we can get a good profit. Particularly this is suitable for women self help groups in the coastal areas. This involves the seed crabs which are collected from the natural waters only. Unfortunately, there has been no successful commercial production of mud crab seeds. So, this is because of this problem, further expansion of this mud crab has not been possible. Once the hatchery seed production is made commercially viable, then the mud crab culture can be practiced in a very greater manner. Now we are going to see what are the different types of fin fishes which are cultured in the brackish water aquaculture. As I said earlier, in traditional culture systems we have a number of fin fishes which are coming as a byproduct or the bycatch along with the shrimps and crabs. Whereas there are some species which are really good, fast growing, very sturdy and having good texture of the muscle content and the taste. So, for example, the Asian sea bass, Latus calcarifer, this is one of the best species which can be cultured in our country among the fin fishes in the coastal areas. So, the problem with this species is the hatchery seed production was a problem, because it changes the sex. The small ones are males and the bigger ones are females, but this problem hasn't come over and the technology has been developed. Now throughout the year the seed can be produced. Because of this, the sufficient number of seeds can be supplied. Another problem we have this species is cannibalism. This can also be come over by providing shelter structure and by modifying the culture practices. So, this sea bass culture can be made as a polyculture, culturing them along with the live fishes like tilapia or any other low cost fishes like oil sardine, horse mackerel, etc. And sea bass culture can be made in ponds as well as in cages. For example, in cages the production of up to 6 to 8 kilograms per meter square, or even sometimes if the management is very good, we can go for 20 to 35 kilograms per meter square in the cages. The sea bass seed production has been now commercially made available, and it can be successfully done. The next species is mullet, Mugilcephalus. This is a very tasty fish which is having a very good demand all over the world, and you can consider this as one of the important species for export also. But the problem is seed availability. It has not been possible to produce the seeds of this species anywhere in the world on commercial scale. So, we have to choose only on the depend only on the natural seeds, but to some extent this culture can be done. In the next one is the milkfish Canis canis. This is a very good species having demand in the Southeast Asian countries like Philippines, Taiwan and Indonesia, and this species is quite suitable for seed production as well as culture in the ponds. In the even in zero PPT, that is almost freshwater waters also this fish can be cultured, and this fish can also be used as a bait fish for tuna lining and all this. The breeding technology is being developed for this species. Once the seeds are being produced on commercial scale, we can expand this milkfish culture. Next species is the pearl spot Atroplus suratensis. This is a very tasty fish which is having high demand in Kerala and West Bengal. Actually, the government of Kerala has declared this as the state fish, and this is a very common species which is available in almost all parts of the country, coastal parts of the country, and although the fish can breed very easily in small ponds and all, there has been no technology that is suitable for large scale production, but with the available seed production technology one can go for small scale farming of this pearl spot fish, which is currently being practiced in Kerala in ponds as well as in cages. Well, next what we are going to see a new species called Cobia Rachicentron canadum. This is a very good species which is having the fastest growing rate of 5 to 6 kilograms in 1 year, and the advantage with this, anything can be fed to this. This fish can eat whatever we give and convert the feed into its body flesh. Because of these reasons, this is a very suitable species for commercial scale operation, but originally this was a marine species and it was cultured only in the sea cages in countries like China, Mexico, Vietnam. But now in India the efforts are being made to culture them in the brackish water pond systems also, and to some extent the success has been achieved. The next species what we are going to see is the grouper Epinophilus tavina. This is a very tasty oily fish, very expensive fish. It costs about $25 per kilogram in the international market, and it is also suitable for both pond culture and floating cage culture. But unfortunately the seed production is a constraint in this species, and efforts are being made to bring the seed production technology to commercial level. Apart from this food fish, we have a few ornamental brackish water fishes also which are suitable for further development. For example, the spotted scat, Scatophagus argus, is one of the beautiful ornamental marine ornamental fish which can be cultured, and the efforts are also being made to produce them in captivity and for further expansion. Another species, ornamental species is Monodactylus argenteus. The technological development is being done to produce this species also. After some years successful may be achieved to bring this species. Well, when we have seen the technological development, it is also important to know about the extension strategies required for these technologies to take them to the farmers. See, basically we can say there are two types of extension methods: public sector extension and private sector extension. Unlike in freshwater, in brackish water, the technology and the farming practices have been quite dynamic. Because of this, the extension strategies should also be made accordingly. the public sector extension is having some problems like limited manpower, funding, all those things. Mainly the state fisheries departments and the allied agencies, they are taking care of this public sector extension, whereas in the case of private sector extension, the consultants, input suppliers or hatchery operators, all these people, they are involved in taking the technology to the farmers, and because of this, particularly in shrimp farming, the success has been achieved so far. Well, apart from this technology transfer through demonstrations and all, we have e-extension strategies also. The efforts are being made to provide the technology to the public through interactive CDs, internet audio video material, through mobile phones, mobile aqua, through SMS and VMS, and even sometimes social media such as Facebook helps a lot. Okay. So, being a brackish water aquaculture sector being a very dynamic sector, and there is a lot of scope for diversification, one can look for a lot of development in brackish water aquaculture with cautions, so that it can be environmentally and socially sustainable. If you need further information about this subject, kindly visit Manage website or go through the reading material which are provided by Manage. Thank you.